Welcome to Local Marketing Institute Q&A live. Next slide, please. Myself, Ben Fisher from Steady Demand. You can reach me at The Social Dude, and my fabulous co-host, Greg Gifford from Search Digital, and you can reach him at Greg Gifford on Twitter. Please make sure you follow us in the Facebook group, which is the Local Marketing Institute Connect. I think we're up to probably around 2.1, something like that, 1,000 people now. I haven't looked recently, but it's a great place. Greg and I hang out in there, and a ton of really smart SEOs hang out in there too. So if you've got any questions, come on down. And finally, just make sure you visit us at localmarketinginstitute.com. And there you can go ahead and you can follow our podcasts. You can see recaps of all the shows. And if you missed any of those juicy links that we share every single week, they're going to be here too. Hey, Trisha. Shout out. Hey, Trisha. It was great seeing you the other week at...
It sure was.
The thing we are going to talk about first. And that is local freaking you.
Local freaking you was so awesome. Not only was the content amazing, it was so awesome to be back in person with everyone in the local SEO world. It's been way too long. It was so cool seeing everybody. I have a little tip video. I got some of the speakers and some of the other experts like Trisha on the tip video. So that's on the Search Lab site. Played board games,
be in the
Joy. Everybody hung out. It was awesome. Most importantly, I think the highlight for me was Andy Simpson's presentation. First time presenting, and the dude absolutely slayed. Had a lot of really subtle jokes and things in there that a lot of people didn't get. He rickrolled people and they didn't even realize it. But the best thing of the entire conference was he had a lot of bullet points, which those of you that have seen me present before know that I always say that bullet points kill kittens, and each of his bullet points were little kitten heads. So it was amazing. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, what has it been? 3 years?
I think it's been 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been it's amazing. And we all got together, and it was like, I don't know, man, it was like a freaking reunion is what it was. For me personally, I mean, the highlight was, I loved Andy's presentation, by the way, too. I think the man did a freaking amazing job, especially considering that's like a topic that I specialize in, right? Basically opening up new locations. And, but Joy's presentation, I think, was really one of the more actionable presentations, where she was talking about reviews and basically data and what she has found out has been working with reviews and what's not been working with reviews. More importantly, what makes that review stick to the top.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And, it was kind of cool because I got a bad review the last week. And I was like, oh, crap, man, bad review. This customer doesn't understand what's going on. Okay, whatever. Cool. It's understood. Let me go ask one of my clients to go update one of their reviews. And they did. And that review bubbles right back up to the top as if it's brand new.
And for everyone who wasn't at LocalU, what did you have them update to have it go to the top?
I had them update their review. Yes. I could have
what specifically? It wasn't just that they updated their review. What did you have them do?
No, that was actually it. They just have to, all the user has to do is just update their own review.
You didn't have them add anything extra to it?
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're being coy, Greg.
I am.
Yes, Trisha, exactly. They could add a pick. Yes. However, adding a pick of a reinstatement is kind of hard. So, nah, you didn't spoil it.
Yeah, Trisha, you can't come anymore if you're going to ruin everything for us.
Yeah, Trisha, come on. We have to have Trisha back up on the show, by the way, one of these days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I know you'd like to come, right, Trisha? So, but yeah, no, LocalU was great. It was fantastic. We ended up downtown. We had dinner and stuff. But all I can say is, if you have not been to a LocalU, you absolutely should come at least once, and then you'll get hooked on it.
For sure.
Okay. So,
and I think they're doing another one later this year, but it's going to be virtual. And the next in-person one is going to be next spring. And I think the plan is to do it in Texas, probably Dallas.
Yeah, I think November 1st is virtual. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be speaking about local service ads. Oh, yes. From local service ads from zero to hero. Okay, cool. Moving on to the next thing in the same vein as reviews. So there is a ton of these annoying issues right now with Google and reviews. And, I'm not going to go over them all right now, but there's two that seem to confuse people the most when it comes to how to talk about them. And that is that you have two separate issues. New reviews from users that go to a profile, the user sees them, the merchant does not. The other issue is you have existing reviews. Say you have a client with 100 reviews. They wake up in the morning and now it's 60. And those are existing reviews, which go missing. Again, a lot of people are having a hard time explaining this when they're coming to the forum or we're talking about it on Twitter. So I've come up with some new terminology for this for everybody. Okay. And so what we're just going to do is we're going to call these new review ghosting and old review ghosting. It's very simple. And I'm going to put the terminology right in and also a link to Twitter. But yeah, basically, I would encourage you. Thank you. If you want to discuss these things as problems.
You posted that just to me and not to the public.
Really? No.
You did.
Oh, oopsie daisy. Okay. Thanks. I mean, that's everything I posted earlier. Yep. Thing I posted earlier didn't go in either. So I'm going to take that technology sometimes. Okay. So anyway, yeah. So basically, there you go. New review ghosting and old review ghosting. And that should make it nice and simple, very easy to remember. What do you think, Greg?
It's great. We got confused yesterday in our hangout where everybody couldn't really refer to them the right way. We got confused at LocalU talking about it. It's so much easier to have clear terminology to understand that difference. Yeah, it makes it much easier to talk about and diagnose what's going on too.
Yeah. And that's so true. I mean, yeah, this came actually from because we meet with Google, Greg and I, we meet with Google every single Friday. And we were talking about reviews. Can't get into the details. But Leslie asked questions inside the Q&A, please. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to tell everybody that. Anyway, but yeah, so, and everybody got all confused on the call. And so I was like, all right, let's make some terminology everybody can agree with. All right. Next piece of news, almost done with the news section. And that is going to be duplicate content in posts. Just really quickly, if you really want to read up about most of this, it's going to be in this link right here. But Google's updated their guidelines to include what is more spam, what is considered spam in posts. And it just so happens that duplicate content, duplicate images, blurry images, all fall under the guidelines now of spam. Will you get suspended? No, you will not get suspended. Will your posts not go up? Yes, they will not. Period. So try not to reuse images. And Greg and I were talking about this earlier. Look, if you're going to post duplicate images, sometimes you got to try to do it like 2 months apart. Google should be okay with that. At least in my experience, they are. What you got, bud?
Me?
Yeah.
I got nothing, man. That was awesome. That was killer.
Fine.
I'd like to segue into the next one.
Do it.
Because I think it might be related to, you could tease us a little bit about what you might be talking about at LocalU in November.
Possibly. Well, in LocalU in November, I'm going to be talking
in November, you're going to be talking about LSAs. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about what the update is related to LSA spam.
Yes. So LSA spam has been getting a decent amount of coverage over the past couple of weeks. Len basically has written an article in Search Engine Land about, review spam, the fact that people can buy reviews, and also location spam, which is horrible, actually, when it comes to some areas of let's say, Los Angeles and personal injury. And so in working together with one of my clients, I've kind of taken on a pro bono case, which is to really raise the visibility of LSA spam, specifically because what they've shown me from a proof standpoint is how companies are basically doing all sorts of things, from setting up shell companies to doing what's called, I'm considering LSA arbitrage, where they are setting up these shell companies and they will basically get the lead in, and then they will sell that lead to an unknown contractor. Then that contractor goes out and either does the service, blackmails customers, does all sorts of nasty things. So it's really harmful to merchants and it's harmful to consumers. They're also doing things, and again, there's a lot more to this that I'll be writing about, but there's companies out there, actually overseas, that specialize in just this spam. And the interesting part is it's the same group, I believe, that was responsible for the PI spam 4 years ago and the garage door spam 2 years ago. They're behaving the exact same way. And I think it's just going to get worse before it gets better. So I'm going to be writing an article for Search Engine Land about this. It should be coming out in the next week or two. Actually, I'm working with LSA currently right now to get clarity on some of these things that are being done and how they're doing them, and what LSA is actually doing about them. So it's going to be a pretty cool story, I think.
So that's it for news. We can move into questions.
Yes.
So I see that Lynn has entered the first question into the Q&A widget. Everyone else, if you got questions that you want us to get to live, definitely use that Q&A widget. Leslie, I think, asked a question earlier. Bonnie just put in a question. Make sure you put those in the Q&A section, not in the chat section. If you put it in chat, we're not going to get to it because it'll get bumped up, but the Q&As, we're going to go top down.
Yep.
But we've got some vetted questions from the past that we're going to get to, and Ben is up first. So the first question comes from Paul, and it says, a new client's GBP was disabled, almost certainly due to address issues. It appears he tried to use his home address as a business address, although he doesn't have a conforming home office. Also tried to use a PO box. The profile now shows an empty address after being disabled. For the reinstatement request, switching him to his home address declared as a service area business, should we re-add his home address for the reinstatement so that Google can then remove it when granting SAB status? Or should we assume Google has removed it expecting SAB status and will cause problems if we add it back in for the reinstatement request?
Good question. Yes, how Google handles SABs is entirely crap. And they're aware of it too, by the way. So expect that to get better soon. However, well, not soon. Maybe like 5 years from now. Anyway, however, in answer to your question, and again, it is totally understandable why it's confusing. What you will do is, the fact that it's disabled with no address, it's kind of weird because if you had an address there before, because that should never actually happen. So what you would do is basically just go ahead, add the home address back in, then clear the address. Okay. Then go for reinstatement. Make sure that you explain to them what the new address is, the fact that it is a home, the fact that it is supposed to be a service area business, and explicitly ask them to check that that is the address that they have on the back end. They're going to at least check the service area. So you should be good, basically. That being said, the home is going to need a home office. You're not going to be able to get reinstated without it. Google's going to look for it, and they're going to look for a lot of other stuff probably too. Everything from like Secretary of State entries, business licenses, utility bills, official things, basically. So I think you might have some hard time getting reinstated, especially given that the listing was at a PO box at one point. So, and also on top of that, the listing actually might get declined for reinstatement you won't know this, but for abuse, basically, at that address. So simply because you were using a PO box and a home address, now you're using a home address again, Google could look at that as potentially abusive So you might actually even need to move away at another date as well, just in case. Anyway.
Or potentially they were saying it's a new listing that got declined, disabled, suspended, whatever's going on. Maybe at this point, just give up on that one and do a new one. I mean, there might still be something in there that blocks it, but instead of trying to jump through all the hoops because of the weird stuff that's happened, it might just be easier to give up on it and do a new one instead.
Given that it's brand new, you're right. They could start a new one. However, if they've started a new one at this address, say more than 3 times, that's going to flag the address. So that's where it kind of gets a little bit sticky as to whether you go reinstatement route or create a new route.
Yep.
So if it's only 1 time, you're good. 3 times, probably not. All right. So this one for you is for you, my friend. All right. So we have Daryl. Hey, Daryl. Daryl is asking, it seems like every month I have to submit a request to Google to correct our listings. Google draws in other listings for a store that they are in, I'm assuming, in part of, for example, a Honda dealership listing. Our Chrysler's parts and service departments are located in Honda. Even though there are separate addresses in the profiles, it seems like this might be a common issue. Any tips, Greg?
So, yes, what he's talking about is car dealers have some specific rules, the things that they're able to do with their Google business profiles that other businesses aren't. One of those is that, typically you have to have the signage and entrance and staff requirements. They kind of bend the rules a little bit for car dealerships. So they're allowed to have a separate department listing for parts and a separate department listing for service. And sometimes when you've got a dealership group where you might have like a Ford, a Honda, a Toyota, a Mercedes dealership, all right next to each other, all owned by the same group, sometimes Google gets confused and you start having the service department for Honda show up under Ford, or the service department for Mercedes show up under Nissan, or whatever that is. So he's saying here that the Chrysler parts and service departments are showing as being located inside of Honda. 100% do not ever go to Google support for this, because the vast 99.9% of the time, they are not going to help you. More than 50% of the time, they're going to say that you're not allowed to have those separate listings, and they're going to delete them because the Google support team is not aware, or the I almost said it. The Google business profile support team is not aware of all of the different little intricate rules that are separate for different types of verticals. So don't even go to support. The 2 things you want to do. Number 1, you really shouldn't have the name of those individual departments include the name of the dealership first. It should be service department or Chrysler service department dash dealership name, not dealership name service department, because when you have dealership name at the first of all of them, Google gets confused. Now, he mentioned he's got separate addresses in the profile. You absolutely need to be sure that it is unique phone numbers for each department, and each department's website link needs to link to the individual pages for those departments, not all of them going to the homepage. If all of that is true and this is still happening, step number 1, click suggest and edit. When you go to suggest and edit, you scroll down just below the bit where you can set your map pin, and underneath that, it says located inside of, and then there's a field. And if he was to go in right now, he would click the Chrysler service department that is showing as being located inside of Honda. He would go in and say, it's going to say located inside of whatever the name of the Honda dealership is. Delete that and save it. You want to have 2 or 3 people at the dealership do that. Those same 2 or 3 people need to then, once you've saved that, you need to go back in, because you clearing it out and deleting it first. Then you want to go back in a day or 2 later and say, this is located inside of the Chrysler dealership, not the Honda dealership. Have 2 or 3 people do that, at least 24, 48 hours apart. It should switch, assuming all the other things are right. If not, then you need to go to the forum, post it in the forum because there's going to be a bug in the back end somewhere, and we're going to have to escalate that to the Google Business Profile team because support's not going to be able to help you. Most of the time, this stuff resolves itself pretty quickly if you do all that. Sometimes there is a bug. There's an issue right now that I escalated to the Google Business Profile team like 6 weeks ago, and they've come back and said, we can't fix this. We actually have to get engineering involved because there's some bug in the database that we can't figure out. So sometimes it does get buggy, but the vast majority of the time, you're going to be able to fix it yourself without even having to go to the forum.
I only have one thing to add to that. Could
What's
you
that?
please pull up your soundboard?
It's up.
Okay. Bill and Ted. That was excellent, man. That was fire. That was awesome, dude.
All right.
Everybody,
So
you just
then the
learned
next-
crap. You just learned some awesome stuff.
Right. Yeah, I deal with this a whole lot. I have a lot of car dealer clients, and anything that's car dealership related that comes in on the Google Business Profile forum, I'm always the guy that jumps in. So dealt with it a lot. Okay, so address spam complaint question from Al is up for you.
All
So
right.
this is a little verbose, but stick with it. I just got mad about this again. For several years now, I've made address spam complaints about two companies in a greater metropolitan area in Canada in a particular trade category in which my client operates. One has a totally fictitious address near the city center, with the main office being located in a suburb of the city. The other uses a virtual office near the city center as its corporate office. No signage, no company staff there at all. Both dominate the entire metro city area for the major keyword for local search. I went and took photographs of their spam locations to prove to Google the locations were against the terms of service. The result was my client, for which I am a manager on their GBP, had their local search rankings go down twice after I made a complaint, and I lost my local guide status, which I later got back. I even hired a well-known spam fighter to make a complaint with no results. Is there a solution to this dilemma where these companies intentionally violate Google's terms, yet reap incredible benefits from doing so, with Google doing nothing and punishing the person who makes the valid complaints?
Oh gosh, that's a ball of wax.
Lots to unpack on this one.
Yeah, let's unpack this cheeseburger. I mean, this grilled cheese. Let's peel it apart. So, a couple things. I want to start out with a personal issue of mine. It's not Google's terms of service that they're breaking. It's their guidelines for representing their business. So if anybody is saying that somebody is against their terms of service, go read the terms of service, please, because it has nothing to do with spam, okay? Or anything to do with Google Business Profiles, actually. All right, that being said, the rest of it, yes, obviously they are in violation to you. Proving some of these things to Google is a completely different story. That's one point. I'll get back to that. Because you filled out the redressal form with your local guide account, would never cause a ranking drop for your client. That is completely unrelated. So let's get rid of that piece right there. Because you hired a professional spam fighter to do it does not necessarily mean you're always going to get results. Because as spam fighters, I can tell you this because we do thousands of listings a month for our clients. So I have a pretty good data set to look at. The average person who is doing spam fighting is going to get results of around 1% to 5%. The average company is going to get a result of between 5 and 10% if you're lucky. If you're really good, 50%. Maybe there's an outlier, like we did some for chimney sweepers, right? Which was clear home spam. Google got rid of 90% of it. Okay, you do the same thing for personal injury, you're lucky at the 20 to 30% range, if that. I think Joy did a study on this, put out the numbers on her stuff, and it was low. So anyway, the thing is this, and I just want everybody to kind of understand this because it's frustrating as hell, the inaction from Google. But the thing is Google looks at a lot of different spam signals, and most of those spam signals we cannot see. Okay. Even though we can see that they are in a virtual office, that doesn't necessarily mean to Google that it is spam. Why? So, signage. Unfortunately, signage can sometimes be faked. So let's just say that the listing did get suspended. They could get it back up just by putting up something, right? No problems. Proving that they're not actually at that location, also difficult. Why? There's a
lunch.
Well, exactly. They could be at lunch. They could be out at a client's location. They could be sick. There's an extremely well-known spammer in LA in the personal injury field. I'm just going to say their letters, DK. A colleague had gone over to their location a couple times and they actually hired a private investigator. Google still didn't take them down. So what can you do? Well, here's what you can do. Number one, yes, continually report. That is absolutely something you can do. No, it is not going to hurt you. If your local guide account was suspended, that's due to probably other types of activities, probably more related to suggest and edit, which you're probably abusing and doing a lot. Not saying bad, but just saying that's how Google looks at it. Especially if you're a spam fighter. But anyway, and so what I would say is submit it, have a folder of documentation, including a video, hire a private investigator if you want, actually. Your client will probably pay for it. And then if after 2 weeks there is no action, you can come to the Google Business Profile community and open up a thread. Do not give any specifics about who you are reporting, especially if they're a law firm. And just come and say, I submitted this 2 weeks ago. No, Google has not taken any action. I have a large amount of proof. And then come and give us your case ID only. We can ask Google to do a review and to see what's going on. If the person who is escalating that for you, if you want to give them some more specific details, reach out to them, usually on Twitter, and we can pass that information along also to Google. Just coming to say, hey, they're in a virtual office. I went down there 5 times and saw they weren't there. But again, don't do that in the public. Make sure it's private. Anyway, Google will take a look at it and then they will make an action, basically. Maybe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it depends. But that's what you want to do. Anyway, hope that really helps and hope that answers your question. And yeah, thanks, Al. Awesome, dude. Good. All right. Exactly. Trisha, that's a really great point. Never use your own personal account to do it. I suggest what you do is you create something called a sock puppet. So your sock puppet is basically just a fake account that you build up over time for your local guide status, but really more for your editing power and not local guide status, because local guide status doesn't matter. But the validity of your edits, that totally matters. And yes, exactly. Amy is correct. Do not submit photos if you're using your personal account, because it will expose your personal account to whoever is basically your editing. All right. Moving on from that. Yeah. Lots of good stuff today.
Yeah. Great questions. And we got a bunch in the live Q&A too. Like we've got, a ton. So we should probably switch over.
Yeah,
fairly soon.
To switch over to that very quickly, actually. That many questions? Let's just switch over now. Or do you want to get to the last one?
What was the next one? The next one's a good one. We should do the next one.
All right. Okay. Well, this one's for you, buddy. All right. So Kathy asks. It's a long one. Okay.
It's a good one, though.
It is a good one. Our company has 2 physical locations in different cities. We offer essentially 2 groups of services. However, the second city offers some of the sub-services within group 1 and doesn't offer any group 2 services. So, city B is falling behind in business. What is the best way to get the city B back in the game and improve exposure for the handful of services they actually do offer in their area? It's a very competitive industry, and our company has been family-owned business for over 70 years, good reputation. It's actually important because of a lot of the different things. Anyway, there was originally 2 sites, one for each city, but they were combined into one about 2 to 3 years ago, which seems to have caused a big drop. We have a filtering system for people. What else can be? Okay, so what else can be doing for local search? So we have separate service pages for city B, hyper localized. Any examples out there? Yeah. Okay.
So the easy answer is actually already in the question, and that is you were on 2 sites and you switched to one and you saw the huge drop. What do? Go back to 2 sites. I would also guess you've got this filtering system and some pages, but that probably means if you've got this group A services and group B services, one location does everything, the other location only does a subsection of the group A services. I would guess you probably just have the group A services and you're not doing the separate subset of that optimized around a different city. And you got to remember, when we're talking about local search visibility, it's never just your Google business profile. It's what's on your website as well. And if your website is trying to optimize for 2 geographically separate locations on every page, it's just not going to work. So you need to have a page per location per service. So you could silo those off and have a silo for city A and a silo for city B. But honestly, it sounds like the one city that's a small subset of one group of services is pretty vastly different from city B that offers all of those services plus a whole nother section of services. I would honestly have 2 separate websites because it sounds like it's not a situation where it's like a multi-location business or a franchise that offers the same services at every location. These are 2 pretty different businesses. So I would really suggest 2 separate sites, or if you have one site, you're going to have to get somebody that really knows how to technically separate and silo those things out and optimize them correctly. Anything to add?
No, dude.
Sweet. Then let's go to the live Q&A, which means live Q&A, you're up first.
Lightning round.
Was just me.
All right.
And we'll just go in order. So the first one of my clients is getting massive spikes in spam traffic from crawler sites and ghost spam sites. I can filter that out in Google Analytics, but it's still messing with a few other tracking dashboards and making it difficult to accurately report local SEO strategy. What can I do to block these crawler spam sites and ghost spam sites?
This one's actually not super straightforward. If I recall correctly, if you know the source, I believe you can block them out in robots.txt, I want to say. As far as discounting the information in Google Search Console or Google Analytics, I don't recall, Greg. It's been ages since I've been inside.
You can go in and go to the settings and list the different referral sites that you want to block so that they just don't show up. But the part that's interesting is it's messing with other tracking dashboards, which means they've got some dashboard solution. Who knows what that might be, but like a Data Studio, a Tableau, a Power BI, whatever it would be, it is a lot easier to filter that stuff out of data. Let's say Data Studio or Tableau or whatever. Let's just say Data Studio. It's a heck of a lot easier to just filter that out of Data Studio than to have to go into Google Analytics every month and go, oh, here's a new one. Here's this one. Here's this one. Like, sure, you want to do that, but it's super easy to have a filter set up either at a page level or on a specific element level in Data Studio or a lot of these other dashboarding platforms to just say, hey, look, don't include any of this. And then it's deleted all time. If it's there, even if it's historical data and it's a new one that you hadn't noticed before that now it's bigger, well, it's going to remove it from before too, which sure, that means your numbers might change month from month. But if you're really getting big spikes from that sort of stuff, there's not really a way to proactively remove them. You really have to know what those sites are and what those sources are to be able to block them out.
Yeah, it's tough. All right. Thanks, Greg. Next question is from Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie. All right. I work for a small family, one location service biz in SoCal, garage doors. Oh, you're being fun. Greg, I recently watched your Bright Local course on link building. Question.
Thank you for watching.
Yes. Question. Can you give me an idea of how much we should be paying for these local links, such as yearly memberships to different cities, chambers of commerce, or church directories? I'm trying to advocate for link building budget, but I don't know how much to estimate and what they're worth. Yikes.
So being a garage door industry, it's a spammy vertical. So I would be very careful with sponsorship links. You're going to, like I said in that video, you really want to think of Google as a pattern detection engine more than anything else. So when it's looking at your inbound link profile, you want a natural looking pattern. And if it looks too manufactured, that's when you start getting into dangerous territory. And since you're already in what Google and everyone else considers to be a spammy vertical, you got to be really careful. There's a whole lot of other things you can do to get links and local links without having to pay for sponsorships. I talked about all those in that training video. I would concentrate on those before you really worry about the sponsorship things. If you are also doing those things and you want to add sponsorships into the mix, probably the easiest thing to do is come up with some sort of a budget. I have no idea what your garage door client's budget is, but if you come in and go, yeah, we need $1,000 a month extra to do links, they may freak out and bail on you. So you want to be sensitive with this approach. You probably want to just set a small budget aside a month, 200, 250, $300 a month. And if that's enough, like $200 a month is usually enough, or $200 is 200, 250 is usually like what you would pay to sponsor a little league team or a Pee Wee football team. There's 1 month out of the way. Cool. If you need to do a sponsorship for a 5K or a golf tournament and it's $1,000, okay, cool. You go 2 or 3 months or 4 months. If we're doing the 250, you go 4 months. So you then have $1,000 and you're just not doing one every month. You skip 3 months or you buy it the first month and don't do it the next 3 months to account for that $1,000. It's a lot easier to do it that way. And also you don't want to be going and getting a bunch of sponsorship links every month because it does look manufactured. So just make sure you're doing it naturally. It should be a small part of your mix, not a major focus of your mix when you're doing your link building.
Yep. And just one thing to add to that, there is a company out there. They're a nonprofit. They're called ZipSprout. ZipSprout will do a local campaign for you where you're basically doing sponsorships of other companies and organizations like the Chamber of Commerce, for instance. And they will get you links. They will get you links naturally. They will not be manufactured. It'll be based on doing, again, sponsorships. And they'll handle it all for you. I think they cost like $500 a month or something like that for a small campaign. So if you really want to do something, I would maybe take a look at that. Zipsprout.com, I think, is something like that. They were at LocalU.
Next question for you then.
Let's do it.
From Anonymous.
Oh, I love the anonymous attendee. The anonymous attendee asks great questions usually.
Hi, I have 2 clients. One is a franchise with about 10 locations on GBP. I had their profiles up on Google for years with a website, but now the website links are gone. I contacted Google, but they said it was a technical issue. This was 3 weeks ago and they still haven't fixed the website links. I try clicking edit and saving the website again, but the edit doesn't take and I'm left with no website link. Have you heard about this issue? Do you know if it's being fixed?
Yeah. Okay. So this is it's definitely a bug. It's also very rare. Resolution. And you've asked support. They're not going to help you. They kind of don't know what's going on. So you need to come to the community on this one. Bring screenshots, do a Loom video showing the exact error. And because there can be some it depends kind of things going on. For instance, if we see the Loom video and it's like you add the website and it disappears immediately, that's the bug. If you add it and you wait and then you refresh the page and it comes back with an orange or red strike, okay, that's a different issue. If it comes back with a gray strike, that'd be a different issue. But again, if it's just straight up disappearing, that's a bug. And we would have to escalate that in the community, basically. So, like I said, do a Loom video, open up a thread. That's it. Boom. For you, my friend. Anonymous attendee has another question. I'm telling you. All right.
Way to dominate the Q&A, Anonymous.
Yeah, I know. Really. Jeez. I don't even see them in our oh, wait, they're anonymous. Okay. So new to local SEO. What is the best practices for client? Wait a minute. He just said they work with franchises. The anonymous attendee. How can they be new?
I know, right? Maybe they have a whole lot of different clients.
Maybe, I don't know. But they're new to local SEO. Anyway.
Maybe they're new and they just got a lot of clients really quickly. I don't know.
Hey, it happens. New to local SEO. What is the best practice for clients who do not provide organic photos? We're not talking the fake photos. We're talking about organic photos, by the way.
Yeah, and not paid photos either.
Exactly. Organic photos. I want to update GBP. I love it. People are saying GBP very often awesome. For an RV financing business, but the client only provided stock photo assets.
This one's easy. You tell the client, hey, look, Google doesn't allow you to do this. We need real photos. If you personally don't have them because you're a finance provider for RV dealers or for RV customers, super easy. Their clients are either going to be people buying RVs or dealers selling RVs, or likely both. Talk to your clients. Hey, we need 5 or 6 photos of RVs. Talk to your clients, have them send them, and then send them over to us. And that way we can post stuff, because the stock photos that you sent are going to be great for your website, but they won't work on your Google business profile. Super easy.
Yep. So now on that note, another thing you can do is you kind of could put a little bit of fear into your client. And that is go to Google's guidelines for representing your business. And under the photos section, it will say photos, they do not like them. Basically, they are kind of against their guidelines actually now for stock photos, not photos in general. So stock photos will also get filtered out of posts. Okay.
Hey, wait, about the whole stock photos being allowed or not allowed?
Yeah.
What would Barry say about that?
Kind of depends.
Nope. It's not new.
No, it's not new. Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, so that's number one. Number two, okay, getting photos from a customer is a pain in the butt. This is very true. Selfless plug. So the reason I'm putting this out there is because of our clients' behaviors. We've got everything from auto dealers to hotels, you name it. And we have a tool that we developed actually specifically for this issue, which is it's very difficult to get a client to go ahead and upload photos. So in this instance, we just tie a cell phone number to a Google business profile, and we send a text-based reminder out based on your frequency that says, hey, it's time to upload a picture to Google. And why don't you go ahead, take a picture or choose one from your phone, and it'll upload it. And it does. It sends it up in there in 7 seconds. Now you, as the agency, can go ahead and download those images from Google Business Profile very easily, or take a screenshot. But either way, it's getting content on your Google Business Profile. So that's the other thing I would recommend is just give them that tool. Costs like $1 per location. So, or sign up for it on their behalf. All right. So let's see. I think we've got another question.
All right. Boom. Oh wait, whose turn is it? I got confused because we both talked a lot on that one.
It's my turn.
It's your turn, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this one's from Jeffrey. Now that this is a good one. Now that the GBP dashboard is gone for accounts with only one business, what happens when a second business is verified in that account? Does the dashboard come back? Thanks, guys.
What's up, Jeff? The answer is yes. Period. As a matter of fact, I saw somebody actually ask another type of question that was pretty darn close to that. And that is what if I just add another location and don't verify it? Will that trigger the dashboard? The answer is yes, it will. So I personally love the dashboard. I'm not leaving it. I think it's an excellent way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. Three times is a no in what period? I don't know.
I don't even know what that's referring to.
Neither do I. I'm deleting it. Okay.
Oh, it was the 3 times you mentioned trying to do the reinstatement.
Oh, yeah.
Set it up with 3 times on your address.
Yeah. Let me explain that, I guess, really quickly. So what we were talking about was its verification at an address and possibly getting the address blacklisted. So for that, that basically what this is that I'll give an example. I had a reinstatement case I was working on, and I was working on it for a couple of months actually, and banging my head against the wall. Because we tried to do reinstatement 3 times for this, asked our contacts at Google if they could look at it, and everybody kept coming back. Nope, not going to reinstate it. And finally, I asked the customer a question that I hardly ever ask, and I said, "Did you, by the way, just happen to create tons of Google business profiles?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "At that address?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, how many times did you try it? 6. Oh,
How to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. So, yes. So basically, in other words, the number might not be 3, by the way. I'm just saying that as a rule of thumb, you probably want to keep it below 3. In other words, if you've tried to create the same listing multiple times at that address, it's going to flag the address. The number might not be 3, but let's be conservative, because let's be real. If this is your only address and it's your home, you don't want to get that address blacklisted. It's the same thing with phone numbers. You don't want to get phone numbers blacklisted. I got a client that has that too. So it's better to be careful. Yeah, exactly, Trisha. Yikes is completely correct. I'll give a very, very quick story on that so we don't run out of time. I have a client who has a 877 vanity phone number, one of those really expensive phone numbers to get, tens of thousands of dollars. Well, they created about 50 spam listings with that phone number. And then they wanted to go down the straight and narrow. Too late.
Yep.
Google blacklisted the phone number. They can never, ever use it again. How did we figure that out? We created a new listing with a different phone number at the same address. Bang. It got verified. They added the 877 phone number in. Can you guess what happened, Greg?
Boom. It was gone.
It was nuked. Yes, exactly. And then it nuked the address too. So anyway, that's the answer to that question. All right. So for you, Greg, Fern Kane has a question. This one's about the H1 tag, primary keyword on the homepage. I am targeting lawyers, my previous established boutique advertising business, mostly personal injury. So the H1 on the homepage contains the term law firm. Do I have to carry on this theme on all other pages? Or can I use a different theme, such as what is web content on the web design page? I do want to be able to contact and reach businesses and other professions. I don't have time to create other landing pages now, such as dentist marketing. I need to enlarge my new website ASAP.
I'm a bit confused because it started saying the question was about the H1 tag primary category or primary keyword on the homepage. And then it talks about interior pages, but then it says targeting other professions outside of law firm. If your homepage is all about law firms, why would you change that and not talk about being about law firms on interior pages? If you've got your book of services and your main page says, hey, we serve law firms, and the interior pages don't say law firms, that's going to be problematic for a couple of reasons, because your homepage is saying you're all about law firms and the interior pages don't support that, which means the overall content of your site is sending mixed signals. But then it's also going to potentially turn off the attorneys that potentially would be wanting to work with you because they see law firm on the homepage and nothing about lawyers or law firms internally. Also, you've got the problem of you may have some interior page talking about web design where you want to be able to do websites for any business, but the homepage of your site says that you work with attorneys. And if you're trying to do a website for a dentist and they're like, the homepage says that you only do attorneys, that's going to confuse them as well. So you either need to make it very clear on every page that you serve multiple verticals and don't optimize just for law firms.
Yeah.
Or you need to optimize just for law firms and create a different site or a different silo of the site that says, hey, look, we do web design, and you've got a law firm web design page and a dentist web design page and a doctor web design page, but you can't mix your optimization strategies where homepages, lawyers, and everything else is generic. It's just not going to work.
I'm going to answer with an example. So, not saying I like this company. They're pretty big, but they're called Scorpion. Yeah, exactly. I know.
I'm saying I don't like Scorpion, but go ahead.
Neither do I. But if you go to Scorpion's website, their website's really well laid out. It explains what they do. It explains the verticals that they work in. They do franchise marketing, blah, 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 right? And so, Fern, what I would say is that take a look at that as an example, because if you're doing dentists and you're doing lawyers, you're not going to be able to escape the fact that you do need to create landing pages for each one of those verticals, as Greg was saying, basically. All right. Okay.
Next question for you from Leslie Ann.
Okay.
I received several 1-star reviews with no content, and looks like these reviews are from users that are so far away from our client's location. I flagged them as spam, but should I reply to them? Also, flagging does not seem to work.
All right.
Sad face.
Sad face. Well, I totally get the sad face, by the way, Leslie. And I agree with the sad face. So, yes, you flagged them. There is a spam removal, a removal tool that Google has that you could use to also flag them and get statuses. But to answer your question, should you reply to them? So the answer is yes, you do want to reply to them. And just make sure that when you keep in mind is that you're replying to them, but you're replying to them so that prospective clients, they see your response and how you react to a negative situation. When you're dealing with the 1-star content, of course, there's not much to go on, right? No content. You can just simply say, we're sorry you had a bad experience. We noticed that you might not be a client and that you're from India, whatever it is. We do not service clients in India. However, if you do have issues, please email us at this email address.
I would even be more aggressive than that and not say we noticed you might not be a client. If they probably weren't a client, if you're like certain verticals, who your clients are.
Sure.
If you're a vertical where who your clients are, just come straight up and be like, hey, look, we've searched through all of our records and talked to everybody that works here, and we have zero record of you ever talking to anyone here or setting foot in our location. I'm not sure why you decided to leave a fake review, but if you appear to be 5 states away and we don't serve clients there, I'm not sure why you decided to leave this fake review, but if you're a real person using a different account, please let us know who you are so we can make the situation right. Because like Ben said, it's what everybody in the future wants to see how you handled it. And if you're leading your response off, because remember, you're only going to see the first line and a half to 2 lines of your response without expanding it. If you say, we did a search of our records and we have no record of ever talking to you, immediately future customers are going to go, oh, it's probably a fake review.
Yeah, exactly. And last thing, bonus is, so if it's not removed after 72 hours, do reach out to support, give them links to the reviews if you can, and at the very minimum, screenshots. If they come back, they won't remove it, then come to, I'm going to say it again, come to the expert community and ask one of us to escalate it, basically. And then we can go ahead and we can ask Google to just take another look. All right. So, Greg, anonymous attendee has another question.
Geez, you are so dominating the Q&A, Anonymous.
I know.
Give somebody else a chance for once.
Well, yeah, they're a super fan. Anonymous attendees. All right. So, by the way, let's see. So, anonymous attendee is new to local SEO, works with franchises. Now what? They gained a new property management client. Congratulations, anonymous attendee. That has a ton of bad reviews. The reviews look like genuine grievances from their customers. The client is expecting our review management service to take care of the issue. Clients. What is the best recommendation for a client like this? I want to set realistic expectations. Very smart.
Yeah, that last bit there is the key. As you're gaining the new client, you set realistic expectations from the get-go. They come in, they've got a bunch of bad reviews. I don't know if Anonymous, you have in the last 5 minutes since we answered your last question, switched industries, and now you only do review management, or if you also do the other stuff. Obviously, we're joking about that, but I don't know if this client came to you and all you're offering is review management, or if review management is part of your suite of services that they have from you. But during that initial sales process, you got to set the expectation and say, hey, look, we see all these bad reviews and these are legitimate customer complaints. These are not going to get removed. And just let them know. If it's a legitimate review, it's not getting removed. Nobody's going to get that removed.
Exactly. I mean, you can report them, but it's not going to happen. And if you come to the forum with legitimate looking reviews, we're not going to be able to help you. Period. Yep. So, So what Greg said is totally 100% right. All right.
Let's hit lightning round. We got a couple minutes left.
Do it.
Kathleen's got a quick one for you. Why can some restaurants add products and others can't?
Great question. Restaurants are not supposed to add products. So there's a subcategory that exists on the profile that's triggering the products. That's why. That's the answer.
Boom. Quick one.
All right, next one. I was a Google local guide who was recently banned. Didn't we talk to somebody who was recently banned today? Anyway, how do I get reinstated? Allegedly, the number of spam or business edits that were not accepted affected my status. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, can you get reinstated if you got banned because you did too much spam stuff? I don't know. I don't mess with the local guide stuff enough to get banned to know how to get back. So
I'll answer it. So Monica, what you need to do is go to localguidesconnect.com. This is the Google service for local guides. You can appeal your account there. Usually 1 strike, they'll appeal. The appeal will work. 2, 3 strikes, you're probably getting a new Google account. But that goes back to something we were talking about earlier, and that is if you're going to be doing a lot of suggestion edits, create a sock puppet, create an account that is used just for editing. Next.
Maybe last one.
Yeah, I'm saying this is the last one.
This one's for you, right?
Sure, unless you want to answer it.
I forget whose turn it is. I get mixed up. I'm so excited to be back. We keep talking. We'll give it to you.
All right.
I have a competitor that has 3 companies at the same location and in the same suite.
Oh, geez.
I think they do this so they can take an extra 2 spots in Google Maps. Mm-hmm. When you look at the profiles, they have unique phone numbers, websites, and branded pictures on each profile.
Right.
They say they are sister companies, but it seems unfair. They have 3 companies at the same location.
There's a couple different things that can go into this. Number one, having them all in the same suite, that is a violation. You have to have separate offices, basically for separate businesses. That's number one. Number two, if they are setting them up, and this is where it depends. And that is that if they are, say, 1 for plumbing, 1 for HVAC, 1 for electrical, that's also probably going to be a violation. If you take a look at the Secretary of State, do they actually have 3 legal entities for each one of these businesses? The answer is probably no. But then again, it just comes down to Google's guidelines, and Google's guidelines state that a business must have a unique entrance and a unique office, unique signage for each individual entity. So they're basically busting the guidelines 6 ways from Sunday. If you can prove it, fantastic. Report, escalate.
Yep. And that's time, but I do want to answer. Heather asked a question here, said, I guess my question I submitted didn't count as a good question. No, that's not true. Can you give us an idea of how many questions you get and how many you choose, so I know not to be disappointed you didn't choose mine? Heather, your submitted question is still in our queue of questions, but we had a whole lot of questions submitted basically because we didn't do this for a month because we were at LocalU. So if we didn't get to your question, it's still in the queue. We'll hopefully get to it next time. But also we preset what we're going to go through, and we alternate back and forth and assign so that it's not just the Ben show or the Greg show. and we usually give it about a half an hour till we switch over to the live Q&A. So you may have been in the queue to get answered, but we had to switch over to live Q&A. So we'll get to it, but it wasn't that it was a bad question. We just didn't get to it.
Exactly. Very succinct. Awesome, Greg.
Well, it's lightning round. We got to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Very, 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 very true. So everybody, thank you so much for coming. We're really happy and jazzed to be back in the swing of things. We will be back in 2 weeks. Well, in case, hopefully there's no travel issues that go on. But probably should look at your calendar, Greg. No.
I'm pretty sure 2 weeks. As you do the outro, I'll let you know, but I'm pretty sure 2 weeks I'm here.
So, but yeah, thank you everybody for coming.
2 weeks we'll have a guest host because Greg will not be available.
Okay. So basically we'll see you in 2 weeks. We will have a guest host. Anybody in the audience, if you'd like to join us, just go ahead and ping me on Twitter. Anyway, so thanks a lot, Greg. Good seeing you, dude. It was great seeing you at LocalU.
Yeah, you too, man.
Awesome freaking content today. And thank you everybody for coming and asking your questions. Please do, you too, Heather, ask questions so we can get to you next week or in the next 2 weeks. And that's it. Have a great weekend.